Right, I'm going to be straight with you from the off. Summer's coming. I've got Ibiza booked with my best mate, then Corfu a month later with my wife, and right now I'm not in the best shape I've ever been in due to something out of my hands. Not because I'm in terrible shape, but because I know I'm not where I want to be, and I know exactly why. The last few months, I've been dealing with a shoulder injury. Nothing catastrophic, but enough to knock my training sideways, enough to mean I couldn't train with the intensity I normally would. So enough to give me a convenient excuse to let things slide a bit further than they should have. So here's what I'm doing about it. Over the next 90 days, I'm about to get lean, properly lean. Confident with my top off on holiday lean, and I'm going to document the whole thing on this channel so you can follow along and, more importantly, copy exactly what I'm doing if you want to. I'm a personal trainer. I've been doing this for 11 years and I've delivered over 8,500 one-to-one sessions. I know exactly what works. I'm going to apply it to myself starting right now and show you the exact plan. So in this video, I'm going to lay out the complete plan, the training, nutrition, the structure I'm building around my actual life, including working around a shoulder that's still recovering. And look, this isn't going to be 6 days a week in the gym. It's not going to be cutting out everything I enjoy or meal prepping on a Sunday like some kind of punishment. It's not going to require my life to stop for 4 months either. It's going to be the approach I know works, the one I've used with hundreds of clients, and the one I should have been more disciplined about applying to myself recently. If you're in a similar place right now, you're not in terrible shape, you know what to do, but not where you want to be, follow along. You can copy it if you want to. So here's where I'm actually starting from. The shoulder injury has been frustrating. I won't go into all the details, but basically for the last few months, any press and movements has been limited. So that's chest work, shoulder work, anything that loaded the joint in a way that aggravated it, which is a big chunk of upper body done, which is a big chunk of upper body training gone. What that means in practice was that my training became inconsistent and lower intensity than I'd normally train. And when training drops off and you still go out for food, still have a social life and still live a normal life, the body composition shifts. Not dramatically, but enough that I notice. And I'm still recovering. I'm not 100% yet, but I am better than I was a couple of months ago. And I'm not going to wait until the perfect time to start, because that's exactly the logic that keeps people waiting around forever. I'm tracking my weight throughout this as well, not obsessing over the number, but the goal is mainly visual. Not a specific figure on the scale, but the scale is one of the data points alongside photos and measurements, and it keeps me honest. So the training plan itself, 3 full body sessions a week, that's it. Not 4, not 5, 3. And here's why that's not a compromise. And here's why that's not a compromise either. It's what I've always done. 3 focus sessions in the gym, done with proper intensity and progressive overload, will produce better results than 5 or 6 day sessions done half-heartedly. Every single time. And I've watched this play out with clients for 11 years, and right now, with a shoulder that's still coming back, 3 sessions is also the right call for recovery as well. So full body every session. And the reason is because if I'm only training 3 days a week and I run a push-pull leg split, each muscle group only gets hit once. Full body means everything gets trained every single session. 3 times a week frequency on every single muscle group, which is far more effective at this training age and this frequency. So the structure, every session has the same foundation. So a low body compound, for example, RDLs or a leg press or some type of split squat. And for now, given the shoulder, I'm working with what I can do. So I'm doing cable chest press machines, incline dumbbell presses with a reduced load when I can. I'm not going to be pushing through the pain and make the injury worse. That's the last thing I want. I'll build back to the full capacity over the next 90 days, give or take. Pull movements will be pull-ups when I can do them, if not lat pull down, seated rows, face pulls. These I can train about 80% of the way there. Then 2 or 3 accessories depending on the session. For example, lateral raises, curls, tricep work, rear delt flies for the rear delts. Stuff that actually builds the shape. And the rep range, we're looking at, for the most part, 6 to 15 reps, depending on the exercise and the load. Compound movements tend to sit towards lower end, 6 to 10, while isolation work tends to be towards the higher end. And then we've got the intensity, which is the most important part people get wrong. Every session, 1 set gets taken to absolute failure. Not hard that you could do 2 more, almost to failure, where the next rep genuinely isn't possible with good form. That's 1 set per session. The other sets, say for example I'm doing 3 sets, will be around 1 to 2 reps left in the tank. So in terms of how I'm tracking progressive overload, every session gets logged. So what I lifted, what reps, how I felt, written down on an app. And then the next session, I beat it in some way, shape or form. So for example, more reps at the same weight or same reps, more weight, better quality movement with the same load, one of the 3 every session. When I hit the top of my rep range across all sets, that's when the weight goes up. Drop back to the bottom of the range and just build it up again. It's pretty simple, really, and I can track it, and it works every single time it's applied consistently. So the next topic is nutrition. I'm not going to be overcomplicating it. Moderate calorie deficit, high protein, 3 structured meals a day. That's the approach for the first half of the 90 days while the fat loss is the priority. Protein, I usually recommend and keep it around 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight spread across 3 meals. And this is the one number worth paying attention to. It keeps me full, protects the muscle I've already got, and makes the deficit significantly more manageable. I'll be tracking calories for the first give or take 4 to 6 weeks. Not every day, but for the most part, I've tracked calories on and off for 14 years, so I know the gist. I'm not completely cutting food out, but as I'm going to touch on in a second, there needs to be a time of where I'm locking in. The next part is the structure. The plan only works if the structure survives real life. And real life is going to throw things over the next give or take 3 months. So for example, this could be work, social commitments, the shoulder having a bad day, weeks where everything goes sideways. So here's the structure. As I said, 3 sessions a week is the absolute non-negotiable floor. Not the target for a good week. It's the minimum every week in the gym. Even a nightmare week, I can find those 3 sessions. Even if the shoulder's still recovering a little bit, I can make sure I get those 3 sessions in. And I'll be updating this on the channel as I go. So for example, how I'm looking, my check-ins, what's working, what's not, what's changed. So if you want to follow along, make sure you do subscribe. And quick one, if you want the free 4-week Softer Lean program, built for people who don't want to spend 90 minutes in the gym 6 days a week, but actually want to get lean, get in shape, and feel confident when they look in the mirror, the link's below in the description and the comments as well. As I said, it's completely free. So this is the exact plan, exactly as I'm running it. 3 full body sessions a week, 1 set of the 2 to 4 sets of a particular exercise taken to failure, progressive overload tracked every session on an app, protein 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight across all meals, moderate deficit, structuring my week around what actually works and my schedule, including working around a shoulder that's still coming back. So if you're in a similar place, use this plan, copy it if you want. Obviously, you might need to adjust it a little bit because, as I said, I've been training 14 years, a PT for 11, trained hundreds of clients as well as training myself, obviously, and I know what works. So that's the plan laid out in full. But here's the thing I know from 11 years of coaching. The plan is rarely the problem. It's what happens in the background without you realizing it that quietly stops the fat from moving even when the training is right. There are 4 or 5 things that keep people stuck even when they think they're doing everything correctly. And until those specific things are identified and fixed, the result doesn't come. So I've got a video that breaks down exactly what those are on screen here. So watch that next.